Now then, some more developing news. Busy afternoon altogether. In the last few minutes, Channel 4 has confirmed that it's moving its headquarters to Leeds. Their chief executive, Alex Mann, and the Channel 4 board have today confirmed the move and that Bristol and Glasgow will be the locations of its two new creative hubs. Well, Annie Lidford from the Creative Industries Federation is with me. Help me through this. Now then. Channel 4, first of all, most people will say, well, it's just, you know, they click on Channel 4 and that is fine. And they may be aware that the BBC and to some extent ITV and so on has regional centres and all sorts of things. Now Channel 4 is sort of copying that, are they?
So Channel 4, of course, is a company that serves the whole of the UK. Across the UK, people like to tune in, and therefore it's appropriate that it represents the UK in, you know, where it's based and its workforce as well. So the move of Channel 4 outside London to Leeds is a really exciting opportunity for the area, and will likely have a really positive impact on the creative industries in that area, but also in the region more generally as well.
Are you thinking perhaps, as I'm sure we do here at the BBC, that when we put a lot of extra muscle and people into Salford, that seemed to help generate things in that part?
Yeah, so I mean, it's useful to know what the importance is of the creative industry sector to the UK and particularly to Leeds and the region. So it's the fastest growing sector in the UK. It accounts for 1 in 11 jobs. So
This is what, the media in general, are we talking there?
No, so the creative industries is everything from
I'm sorry,
fashion, film, performing arts, architecture, advertising, the whole scope. So any initiative that helps that sector, the creative industries, to grow will have a really positive impact on the area as a whole. And actually one of the ways in which growth is seen to be unlocked in the sector is through these sort of anchor organisations that can go in somewhere, collaborate with the amazing things that are already taking place. And I can't stress strongly enough that Leeds is full of incredible organisations already. And this new organisation coming in helps those organisations that already exist to get new contacts, new skills, new work. So basically allows the whole sector to grow. And
now, creative hubs. I think, did we say Bristol and Glasgow?
And Glasgow as well, yes.
What does that mean? What's a creative hub?
So it's the idea that creative companies benefit from being around other creative companies. So there are a number of creative hubs and clusters around the UK, and actually looking at Leeds and Yorkshire, the Yorkshire Screen Hub is one of the most amazing. So that Screen Hub, that cluster in Yorkshire, accounts for about 157 million in GVA. It employs almost 5,000 people, and actually between 2009 and 2015 it grew by 250%. It's a massive part of the economy in the area.
Okay, now then, London has always been the centre of things like broadcasting and so many other things. Does this mean that Channel 4 is leaving London altogether? There'll still be, I would imagine, a sort of head office here or an office. But the problem always seems to be that when you tell a lot of people in the southeast of England that there are jobs going in other parts of the country, should we put it, a lot of them don't seem to want to go. That's always a problem, isn't it?
It's always a challenge. I mean, the UK economy is so geographically unbalanced. I think we're the most unbalanced in Europe, so 40% of what comes out of the UK is from London and the southeast, which is an issue. And actually, this sort of investment in areas outside London, areas that are already hugely attractive places to live in but may not yet be attracting people moving from London. This investment helps to turn those places into the kind of areas that people actually really want to move to and really want to up ship and go. And Leeds is already somewhere, and as is Glasgow and Bristol, that attracts a great deal of people. And I think this is just another step that will help to make those places additional cities that people want to live.
Annie Lidford, very grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Leeds has been chosen as the location for the new national headquarters for Channel 4. Greater Manchester and Birmingham have also been in the running. Bristol and Glasgow have been selected as new creative hubs for the organisation. Some 300 staff will be moved out of London to the new hubs, although Channel 4 will also retain its presence in the capital. Well, our arts and entertainment reporter Ian Youngs is in Salford for us now. Well, Ian, you're in Salford, which I suppose might have been in the running, but there's an awful lot of creative industries, particularly the BBC there. But this is a good day for Leeds.
Absolutely, yes. Salford and Birmingham were the other two contenders for this so-called national HQ that Leeds is setting up. But Leeds is the city that Channel 4 has chosen, so roughly 200 of the 800 jobs that Channel 4 currently has will be moving up to Leeds, and another 50 each to Glasgow and Bristol in their new creative hubs. So the channel says that those will include some of the key commissioning personnel who are responsible for some of the biggest shows on the channel, and it's all being done in an attempt to try and reflect the whole of the country a bit better than they are at the moment.
Now, those who think that things should be moved away from London to places like you've been talking about make the point, I think, don't they, that it encourages other industries around it, the creative industries benefit, and that's big business.
Yes, it's very big business. Channel 4 say they're going to spend an extra £250 million outside London over the next 5 years. And there are already some creative industries in Leeds. Of course, ITV has quite a big presence there. Emmerdale is Leeds' most famous televisual export over the past few decades. But there are lots of other independent production companies based there who will all be extremely happy at this news, and this will be opening up opportunities for lots of them. Channel 4 also says that they want it to open up opportunities across the north of England, and also especially further east, whereas Manchester and Salford have sizable presences at the moment from the BBC and ITV. There's a bit less as you go further east into Yorkshire and the north east.
Indeed. Ian Young's there in Salford. Thank you very much indeed. The Foreign Secretary speaking to the Foreign Affairs Select Committee of the House of Commons this afternoon. Now, more on the news that Leeds has been chosen as the location for the new national headquarters for Channel 4. Greater Manchester and Birmingham had also been in the running. Bristol and Glasgow have been selected as new creative hubs for the organisation. Some 300 staff will be moved out of London to the new hubs, although Channel 4 will also retain some presence in the capital itself. Well, I'm joined now from our Leeds newsroom by the leader of the City Council there, Judith Blake. Very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
And it is a good afternoon for you, is it not?
I can't describe it to you. You know, we've built such an incredible partnership putting the bid together, and everyone was just on tenterhooks. We genuinely did not know until we got the phone call at approximately 2:30 this afternoon, and we are just delighted. We knew that we'd put together an incredibly strong bid. We knew that we got on very well with everyone we work with from Channel 4, but you never know until the final announcement is made, and I have to tell you, a lot of people are really celebrating here in Leeds this evening.
For those who are not in the TV industry and following the minutiae of it, the point was you did have to bid, a bit like getting a City of Culture or something like that, and you had to persuade them that Leeds was the place. What do you think made it for you?
Yes, I think they were, you know, we obviously put together a case built on our creative presence here and our digital footprint, working with all of the different companies out in Leeds and the wider city region. I think it's important to stress that this is about Leeds in terms of location, but it's also building on the strengths of our city region. So Bradford, for example, the youngest profile city in the country, and the skills footprint, the future skills needed for the anticipated growth in the sector, I think was a very important consideration. But, you know, I think we just, we hit a chord, we got on, we understood each other, we knew what Channel 4 are looking for, and we are, you know, just delighted that all of our partners really stepped up and put huge amounts of work in. We're very, very much looking forward to Channel 4 moving their part of their HQ up to Leeds next year.
Now, I know it myself personally, been and done quite a bit of work there, BBC and ITV already in Leeds. Been some slimming back, I think, in recent years, but now you get this expansion. Can you really say, well, this is going to create a lot of jobs, because that's what people always talk about, and indeed raise the profile of your part of the world as well?
I think that was a very important part of the decision, obviously a key decision for Channel 4 to move out of London, and looking at areas of the country that perhaps haven't got the same footprint, so Yorkshire as a whole, but also looking up to the northeast, and we got support from right across Yorkshire and up into the northeast for our bid. And we know the numbers who will initially be moving up to the HQ but it's also the knock-on benefit in terms of growth in an already very dynamic sector here in Leeds. And obviously many people will know the footprint through the work of Screen Yorkshire, for example, True North, other companies that are based here and do a phenomenal amount of work. And I think it is that collective coming together of a talent pool that proved very, very attractive to Channel 4 in their decision making.
I was talking a little earlier to our arts correspondent who's actually in Salford. I think a lot of people would say the BBC's decision to move a big operation there, that had a transforming effect. You're hoping for the same in Leeds?
I don't think you can overestimate the impact on confidence for us as a city. It's just such a statement of recognition of the phenomenal work that we do here in Leeds and across the north. And you know, the contact we've had in the last couple of hours from right across the country, international interest as well. You know, it really is absolutely phenomenal. And as I say, we've got a very, very strong base here to build on, and we're looking forward very much to getting out there and really making sure that we all turn this into a major, major benefit for our region.
Well, congratulations to all concerned. Judith Blake, a leader of Leeds City Council, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Talk to you again. Thank you very much for coming in. So Simon Fraser for us there, former Permanent Secretary at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Our thanks to him for coming to talk to us today on BBC News at 5. It's 5:43. Channel 4 has announced today that it's setting up a new headquarters in Leeds in an attempt to change the way that it reflects maybe life outside of London. The broadcaster says it will move around 200 jobs to the city, while Bristol and Glasgow will then become creative hubs for the broadcaster, so it's a bit of a rearranging going on. Our entertainment correspondent Colin Patterson is in Leeds to talk us through the impact of this. Colin?
Hello, Hugh. Yes, a lot of excitement here in the centre of Leeds with this announcement made this afternoon that the new Channel 4 National HQ will be coming to the city. Jobs will be moving here from the second half of next year. We believe in around the region of 200 jobs. And the crucial thing is, by 2023, Channel 4 aims to have half of its programmes, the programmes that it commissions, made by companies outside of London. That will be an input, a boost of £250 million to programme makers outside of London. Now, the Chief Executive of Channel 4, Alex Mahan, explained to us why Leeds have been chosen.
Well, the focus for us is what Channel 4 can do for the UK. Channel 4 is really about diversity, it's about inclusion, and a core part of that for us going forwards is about how we represent all of the UK, and we felt that Leeds will help us do that the best. It gives us coverage across the north, across the northwest and across the northeast, allows us to work with our independent production partners and allows us to represent an entirely different part of the UK.
Channel 4 News will also be setting up a new news hub in Leeds. They're going to triple the amount of people it employs outside of London. But it is worth pointing out, Channel 4 is not leaving London. Its main headquarters will still be in London. And some are criticising the choice of Leeds for National HQ, saying that if you really wanted to create a hub that could change the media, or perceived media bias of London in the UK media scene, then the place to put it was Media City in Salford, because if you had the BBC, ITV and Channel 4 together, then finally maybe the balance could have been tipped away from London. But a lot of people in Leeds don't care about that. They're just delighted that Channel 4 is heading here next year.
Colin, thank you very much for the latest there on the Channel 4 moves. Colin Patterson there for us in Leeds.
Now, Leeds has been chosen as the new national headquarters for Channel 4, with Bristol and Glasgow becoming its creative hubs. The move comes after the government made it clear that Channel 4 needed to increase its presence in the regions. Well, our entertainment correspondent Colin Patterson is in Leeds. Great news for Yorkshire. How many staff will actually be moving there?
It'll be around the 200 mark to here, with 50 in Bristol and 50 in Glasgow, and people here are thrilled that Channel 4's new national headquarters is heading to the city. It's the biggest structural change in the 36-year history of Channel 4. And why it's important is when it comes to programme making. Channel 4 say by 2023, half of all programmes that they commission will be made by production companies outside of London. That is a boost of £250 million over 5 years to the regions. Now, not everyone is entirely happy with the decision. For a start, Channel 4's headquarters will still remain in London. They're not entirely abandoning it. And when it comes to this new national headquarters, some feel that if you're trying to change the perceived media bias of London, the place to have put it, not Leeds, but Salford Media City, because if Channel 4 had joined BBC and ITV, there would then have been a media hub big enough to really try and take on London. But people here simply do not care. The likes of Kay Mellor, who did Fat Friends, has come out and said this decision is a game changer when it comes to the media in the UK.
Colin Patterson, thank you.
Well, the BBC's move to Salford helped to transform that area. So will this be similar? Despite all the optimism about today's news, one research group says it's unlikely to transform the region's economy. Corinne Wheatley has been looking at the potential impact.
A big broadcaster heading north. That sounds familiar. Back in 2011, after years of work, the BBC began moving parts of its operations to Salford Quays, bringing it closer to audiences in the north. It was also suggested it would create around 15,000 jobs. But a report released last year said while it had a big impact on the site itself, the effect on local employment was described as negligible, bringing just under 4,500 jobs to the wider region. That equates to about 0.3% of total employment in Greater Manchester. Channel 4's relocation to Leeds is on a much smaller scale, so should we be cautious about overstating the economic benefits?
So that's a great signal to say that, Leeds can attract that sort of activity. But again, I think, we've got to try and balance out to say, that brand element is really great, but we shouldn't get carried away with the economic impact, because those two things aren't necessarily the same. And certainly from a jobs point of view, we'd like to see only modest increases from any such move.
Producer James Mellor works all over the world from his base in Ripondon. He says boosting the creative industries here will take more than just moving bricks and mortar.
So I would like to see a much more robust approach to saying we want X amount of hours for Channel 4 broadcast material done here in the Leeds City region, as this is now our new hub, as it were. I would really like to see something like that.
I think it's fantastic for all of the students coming through who are desperate to find somewhere to hold on to. I've made programmes around the world, and when I've been there they've said, "Where's Leeds?" Now you can say, it's where Channel 4 is based.
What are you doing? Well, we all think about the bridge. Open the door. We all know it's nothing but a left.
There are, of course, Yorkshire voices, Yorkshire landscapes already taking prime spots on the Channel 4 schedule. And that's something we may see more of, because the broadcaster says it will spend half of its programming budget outside the capital by 2023.
It's bigger than you or I, or any of us.
Yorkshire's been keen to promote itself as a film and TV destination for several years. Now the Channel 4 bosses will have a front row seat. Corinne Wheatley, BBC Look North.
Well, joining me now is Councillor Judith Blake, leader of Leeds City Council. So, Councillor, obviously a great result for Leeds. How are you going to make sure that you take advantage of this opportunity to ensure the benefits reach as many people as possible, not just the media?
So this is the basis of our bid, and I'm delighted that the partnership that we've built up working across Leeds City region, so working with Bradford, York, the other authorities, really making sure that this will bring the greatest benefit. And we've heard as well today that we're going to have the news hub here. So, for Leeds itself, going out every night on the national Channel 4 news, great recognition, and a huge boost in confidence, and a great expression of confidence that Leeds can actually step up to the plate.
And in terms of what it's going to bring, I mean, you've mentioned that it's going to be more than £1 billion to the economy over the next decade. How exactly is that going to happen?
So Channel 4 works on a very different model to the other broadcasters, and it really is going to be commissioning work. And that's where the strength of the region lies, why they've come to Leeds and to Yorkshire, because the creative industries here are so strong. And there are so many people, small production companies, really willing to take up the opportunity. And it's not just about jobs in an office, this is about jobs right throughout the supply chain.
And just briefly, we saw from Corinne's piece there that, there's a risk of sometimes overestimating the benefits. How are you going to make sure that the benefits promised will be delivered?
Yes, and the reaction we've had today has been phenomenal, and, real recognition of the strength of Leeds and how Leeds really does deserve to get Channel 4 coming here. But, you know, the hard work starts now, and the bid is strong, great partnership, and we will give everything our best shot to deliver what we're proposing.
Thanks very much for coming in. Thank you. Right.
Now, Leeds has been chosen as the location for the new national headquarters for Channel 4. Greater Manchester and Birmingham had also been in the running. Bristol and Glasgow have been selected as new creative hubs for the organisation. Now around 200 staff will be moved out of London to these new hubs, although Channel 4 will also retain its presence in the capital. James Vincent reports.
The first thing that anyone saw on the new Channel 4 back in 1982 was a Yorkshire presenter sitting in a Yorkshire studio.
Hello, good evening, and as the countdown to a brand new channel ends, a brand new countdown begins.
Fitting today then that when Channel 4 were deciding where to move, they chose to come home to Leeds. Ever since the government told Channel 4 that it had to move some of its operations out of London, cities across the country had been stating their case. Leeds has now come out on top, and next year the public service broadcaster will relocate to West Yorkshire.
It will help us bring in decision makers from elsewhere in the UK with different opinions, and the core for us is how do we reflect on screen the values, the cultures, the communities of different people across the UK and not just in London.
We knew and we put together a very strong bid, and we felt, you know, the relationships with Channel 4 were very good, but you know, you never know, and you know, there are three of us in the race right to the end, and absolutely thrilled that Leeds has been chosen.
We do have to travel quite a distance to meet the industry professionals, because at the moment they are pretty much down south. We have nothing against people down south, we just wish they were more here as well.
Leeds might get the headquarters, but just 8 miles up the road is the City of Film. Bradford is the youngest city in the country, and it's hoped some of the investment will be felt here. Channel 4 picked Yorkshire because they say it has a thriving digital industry, and the future of that industry is at Yorkshire's universities.
University of Bradford, take 2.
In Bradford, they're excited that a job in national television now won't mean having to get a train ticket to London.
Well, I want to be involved with stuff like production, management and producing and things like that, and a bit of editing as well.
The students in the University of Bradford and Leeds studying film production and media courses, and it'd be a good opportunity for them as well to have Channel 4 up here.
Most opportunities in the film and creative industry tend to be in London. It's quite London-centric, so to bring everything up north would be fantastic.
I think it'd be amazing. There'd be so many more opportunities available for us. Bradford is the city of film, but we're still having to relocate either to Manchester or London after we graduate, so it just creates so many more opportunities for us as students.
Rahul! Last night, the Great British Bake Off had a Yorkshire winner. Today, we've won an even bigger Channel 4 competition.
That was James Vincent reporting there. Well, let's speak now to Andrew Sheldon, who's a creative director at True North, which says that it's the largest independent TV production company in the north of England, and he backed the winning Leeds bid and joins us live now from Ilkley, a beautiful part of the world in West Yorkshire. Spent some time up there myself. How are you feeling about this news?
Oh, we're absolutely elated. You know, we're kind of over the moon, really. Yorkshire's always had a kind of great legacy of television production, but you know, in recent years it's been quite a hard slog, as we've seen quite a lot of investment go to the west of the country. And when we've had a kind of north-south divide conversation in the country as a whole, it's actually been a bit of an east-west one for us. You know, we've got our friends over the border in Lancashire there. We've got quite a lot of history with them, and it would have been a tragedy if it had gone over there and not come here in some respects.
So you backed this bid, obviously.
Yeah.
What is it about the Southerners, what is it about the North, rather, or Leeds, that the Southerners don't know about? What do you think they're going to bring to Channel 4's output?
Well, I think there's a number of things. I think that the sort of macro politics of the country at the moment is focused on there's a lot of division in the country. There's a lot of people who kind of are not quite sure of where opinions have come from and where voices are coming from and so on. And I think there needs to be a lot of representation and a lot of portrayal of places that perhaps, you know, don't generally get kind of that sort of exposure. So I think there's been a kind of a period where there's been quite a metropolitan sort of mindset and a sort of world view that's come from London, really. Quite often, I think in outside of London, you know, we see ourselves portrayed on television. We see ourselves in great drama and in great documentaries and so on television. But I think there's an argument that you know, these places should also share in the kind of economic benefits of making those programmes and the cultural benefits of making those programmes too. And I think that's what will happen kind of going forward with Channel 4 in Leeds.
So from the independent sector, which you're part of, what sort of things would you like to see?
Well, I think there are a number of inhibitors to kind of television production. One is critical mass. You know, television is a kind of freelance industry, and so you need a critical mass of production in order to be able to sustain a skill base that's big enough to kind of flourish, really. And I think that's a really critical part here. Channel 4 itself, you know, 200 jobs won't be the game in itself be the kind of game changer. What will happen, I think, is that you'll end up with production building around their presence in this part of the country. And I think the key thing to that is that there are places all the way down the east of the country, really, from Newcastle through Leeds, through Sheffield, Nottingham, Leicester, these kind of great cities that have no broadcaster presence at all at the moment, and therefore there's very little kind of production industry around them. I think what will happen is that you'll have opportunity then for people who live in those places, the young people who are kind of finishing degree courses and so on, and perhaps haven't got the means of getting to London to start their television career. They'll now have opportunity much closer to home in their own backyard.
Okay, Andrew Sheldon, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's speak now to Anita Bala, who was a key member of the Birmingham Channel 4 bid and is also director of the Local Enterprise Partnership. She joins us live from Balham in southwest London. How are you feeling?
Well, disappointed, but very, very pleased for Leeds. Yes, I mean, I wouldn't use the word gutted, but we are very, very disappointed. I think we put forward quite a compelling bid, and sadly it wasn't chosen. So yeah, a great deal of disappointment.
So what was the key message from your bid then, and why do you think it is that Leeds won the bid?
Well, our message was that we have a very young and diverse society and people around us who would have energised some of what Channel 4 were trying to do. We also looked at some of the growth that we've got, potential growth in the creative economy. We've got a sector that's growing and a sector that's got a lot of potential. And I think if Channel 4 had come to Birmingham and the region, they would have been able to make a huge impact in making sure that our creative economy could grow. We would have offered them amazing partnerships with schools, with education, across a whole range of people, but that wasn't to be. And I think what Leeds have got is something very similar to us. They have a young, diverse population. They've got lots of students, which we have too. Maybe Leeds sector is just a little more advanced than ours is in terms of growth, but our growth has been building up year on year, and we were hoping that Channel 4 would give us that inspiration to grow even further.
Okay, Anita Bala, commiserations, but it sounds as if you've got a great foundation there in Birmingham. Anita Bala there, thank you very much.